Chapter 9a of Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda, Kaikeyi talks to Rama, Part 2. Kaikeyi spoke to the great prince who was devoted to one thing and only one thing, and that was the path of Dharma, whose religion was truth. Kaikeyi, who had now passed beyond caring for the opinion of the world, spoke in a calm and emotionless voice. Long ago, Rama, there was a war in the heavens between the Devas and the Asuras. Your father had gone to help Indra, and I had gone with him. I happened to save the life of the king, and he, pleased with me, granted me two boons. I had told him that I would ask for them when I needed them. I asked him now for the two boons. It is not as though he cannot grant them. All I wanted was that Bharata, instead of you, should be crowned the Yuvaraja, and that you should spend 9 years and 5 more in the Dandaka forest. Rama, if the king should prove truthful, it is up to you to help him do so. If you accept these conditions and fulfill his promise to me, he will be saved from being called an adharmi. You must go away to the forest and spend these years away from Ayodhya. Bharata must be crowned. Wearing deerskin and tree bark, you must spend 7 years and another 7 in the Dandaka forest. Bharata will rule the land of the Ikshvakus. Love for you is blinding this king, and he is in danger of following the path of adharma by breaking his promise. He is not able to look you in the face, since he is bound by his word. You should do what I have told you just now. You are a jewel among the sons of this house, and you must undertake the task of saving your father's name. Unperturbed as he always was, by pleasure or pain, happiness or sorrow, by the sway of the opposites, Rama stood calm. There was not even a trace of disappointment or anger in his face. Her harsh words had no disturbing effect on the face of the great prince Rama. It was the king who looked more unhappy than before, and he was moaning in pain. Rama looked at Kaikeyi and said, "But certainly, my mother, I will go at once to the forest, dressed, as you say, in the tree bark and deerskin. I will not let my father break his word. I am unhappy only about one fact. Why does the king refuse to look at me with love, as he always does? Mother, please have no doubt about me. I swear to you that I will definitely do what you have asked me to do. I will go away from here to the forest. Your wishes are granted by me on behalf of my father. This, my Guru, has stipulated that I should go, and do you think I will even dream of disobeying this God among men? What hurts me most is this. Why could the king not tell me the good news himself, that Bharata, my beloved brother Bharata, is to be crowned? As for my love for Bharata, for the sake of Bharata, I am prepared to give up my kingdom, my kinsman, Sita, and even my very life without being asked to do so. I will gladly do so. When such is the case, did you think I would hesitate when the king himself desires it? Let the king look happy at least from now. Why does he bend his ears on the ground and shed tears? Why, mother? Please dispatch messengers to Kaikeyi immediately and ask them to fetch Bharata as early as possible. As for me, I will at once leave for the forest as per my father's commands." Rama stood with folded palms, and Kaikeyi, with a triumphant toss of her head, looked at the king and then at Rama. "Rama," she said, "I will arrange about fetching Bharata from Kaikeyi. Messengers will certainly be sent soon. I do not see any need for you to tarry till the arrival of Bharata. It is imperative that you leave at once for Dandaka. The king does not speak to you because of his love for you, which is making him feel slightly shamefaced. That is the only reason why he is not talking to you. Unless and until you leave this city, your father, the king, will never bathe nor eat. Rama closed his ears with his hands and said, Shantam Papam. To himself, and the king spoke in a feeble voice, What a shameful thing this is. I am helpless and I am not able to talk to my child. With a sigh which seemed to shatter his entire frame, the king fell back on his couch in a faint. Rama hurried to his side and raised him up with great concern. Like a high-born horse winching under the stroke of a whip, Rama, spurred by Kaikeyi, spoke to her with a smile and with sadness in his voice. Mother, still you have not understood me. I have never been fond of riches, nor do I want to live in luxury like ordinary men. I wish you to know that I am like the rishis, bent on following the path of dharma, and nothing else is desirable to me. If it is humanly possible to please this godly man who is my father, I will do so. I will give up my very life and save my father's name from ignominy. As I see it, the utmost dharma of a man is to serve his father and to worship him as his God and to obey him in everything. Though I have not spoken to by the king directly, I have been commanded by you to spend the next 14 years in the fearful forest by name Dandaka. I will certainly do so. Have no fear. Devi, Kaikeyi, you did not credit me with one thing. I would have obeyed you if you had asked me to do this. Because of your lack of faith in me and in my love for you, you have approached the king. I am only sorry you have underrated me. Are you not as dear to me as my father? I would have obeyed you implicitly. But it is no matter. I will at once go to my mother and take her blessing. I will have to comfort her and convince her that this is not a calamity which has befallen me. I will then speak to Sita about this. After that, I have nothing left but to leave for Dandaka, situated between the rivers Narmada and Godavari. After all, the forest once belonged to Dandaka, the son of Ikshvaku. Bharata can take over the service which is due to my father. Service to one's parents is the first, and in fact the only path which leads to the other Purusharthas. Mother, you must take good care of my father and make certain that Bharata does not fail in his duties as a son and as a ruler. The king was now sobbing loudly, and his grief was uncontrollable. Rama had to steel his heart against staying there and comforting his father. Without a word, he fell at his father's feet, clasped them in his hands, and placing them on his head, he stood up. He went to Kaikeyi and taking the dust off her feet, walked out of the chamber without another word. He could hear his father's sighs and his lamentations, but he walked away with firm steps. Om Shri Ramar Pranamastu. Jai Shri Ram. Chapter 9b of Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda. Kaikeyi talks to Rama. Part 3. Apadamahartaram dataram sarvasampadam lokabhiramam Shriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. Lakshmana had been standing near the doorway and he heard everything. Rama looked at the angry face of his brother. Lakshmana's lips were throbbing with anger and his eyes were filled with tears. Rama walked fast towards the Anthapura of his mother Kausalya, controlling the unhappiness in his own heart and his senses too. And Lakshmana followed him silently. They had to pass the great hall where preparations were made for the coronation. Rama went round the vessels full of the waters from the many sacred rivers of Bharatavarsha, waters which had been gathered in a hurry for the coronation. There was not even a shadow of disappointment on the face of Rama as he did this. His face was like the full moon, charming and pleasing. The loss of the kingdom and the banishment, which was imminent, had no effect on this great soul who was the beloved of everyone, and his face was just as it was the previous day when the king had summoned him to his presence and told him that he should be the Yuvaraja. Rama looked like a great sannyasi who had renounced the world. He had made up his mind to abandon willingly all the glory which should have been his, and he had decided to proceed to the forest. Rama did not even look at the white umbrella, the chamaras, nor the chariot which stood at the doorway of the palace. Rama managed to avoid the people and friends who were awaiting him, but walked towards his mother's chamber. His mind was engaged only in one thought: how to break the news to his dear mother, whose grief would be unbearable. His face did not reveal any of the feelings inside his mind. He walked with the same firm step which was usual with him, and his face was looking as though nothing untoward had happened. Some people spoke to him on the way, and Rama spoke sweetly and calmly with them and went towards Kausalya's chambers. Lakshmana, whom Rama would call my life which has taken a form and is with me always, walked with him. He managed to keep under control the great sorrow and the greater anger which were seething inside his heart, and walked with Rama. Ever since he was born, Lakshmana had shared everything with Rama, and the two brothers walked towards Kausalya's chambers, each busy with his own thoughts. News was already spreading about the impending disaster. Cries of dismay and distress could be heard vaguely from inside the apartments of several of the women in the palace. Rama, the prince who is dear to us, who has been a son to all of us, who has treated us with same love and respect he has for Kausalya Devi, Rama, who is the refuge of all those who are in trouble, Rama, our child, is today leaving us and will depart for the forest. He has never angered any of us with his words or acts, and even those who were angry would be pacified by him. The king has taken leave of his senses, or else how can he contemplate such an act? How will he live without Rama after he is gone? These and several similar words were filtering through the walls of the many chambers. Some were sobbing, some were wailing, and some were talking angrily about the injustice of the king. Rama paid no heed to all these disturbances. Like an Ashwatha tree which stands firm and unconcerned about the twittering of the birds seated on its branches, he reached the palace of his mother, followed by Lakshmana. The old doorkeeper was squatting at the doorway, and some others were standing by. Seeing Rama, they rushed towards him with excitement and said, Jaya Vijayi Bhava. Rama accepted their greetings with his beautiful smile and walked on. The women in the inner chambers went towards where Kausalya was to announce the arrival of Rama. The queen mother, Kausalya, had spent the entire night praying to Lord Narayana. Her one thought was the welfare of Rama. Early in the morning, she sat before the image of the Lord and was even then performing puja to him. Dressed, as was her custom, in white silk, she was worshipping fire with oblations poured into it. Rama walked into his mother's puja room. He saw his mother seated before the fire with her mind set on offering up prayers. All the accessories for the puja were placed by her side: curds, rice, ghee, sweet preparations, havis, fried rice, white like moonlight, butter, payasam, flowers and garlands of flowers, and samit, along with pots and pots of gold filled with sanctified water. When Rama entered, Kausalya was offering Argya to the Lord. Rama stood still and he looked at her. Constant vritas and fasting had made her very thin. There was a sadness on her face which had been there ever since Rama could remember, and he knew of the suffering she had undergone. He knew only too well that he was the only bright star in her firmament. His face was very grave when he thought of her reaction to the news which he had brought her. Kausalya turned and she saw Rama. Like a mare rushing to her young colt, Kausalya went to Rama with a smile of infinite sweetness lightening her face. Rama, who was ever bent on attending to her slightest wish, was now standing before her with his palms folded when she came to him. Rama fell on the ground, clasped her feet in his hands, and she lifted him and embraced him. She looked at him with swimming eyes and spoke to him. Child, born as you are in the illustrious race of the Ikshvakus, you are a worthy scion of that race. May you follow in their footsteps and be as famed as they were, and may you live long. The noble king will crown you as the Yuvaraja today. You must ever pay respect to your father, who is righteous and good. Kausalya led him to a jewelled seat and placed before him eatables which had been prepared for the morning. Rama was sorely distressed. Because he could not refuse her anything, he made a pretense of accepting the seat by placing his hand on it and leaning against it. Rama had made up his mind to leave for Dandaka that very day, and he thought the moment had come when she should be told. With a slight hesitation, with a faltering in his stoic calm, with his head bent down, with his eyes seeking the ground, Rama stood and after a moment spoke in a firm voice. Mother, a great misfortune has befallen you, my Sita, and my beloved brother Lakshmana. It happened just now and you do not know about it yet. Mother, this jewelled seat does not befit me now. What I need is an asana made of darba grass. The time has come when I should abandon all this and go to the Dandaka forest and remain there. I am leaving for the forest very soon. I must withdraw my mind from all thoughts of kingly comforts and live in the forest for 14 years with my mind set on the other world. I must live on fruits and roots gathered by myself in the forest, and how can I accept the food you have placed before me? The king will crown Bharata as the Yuvaraja, and he has asked me to dwell in the forest like a tapaswin. Mother, 6 years and 8 more will I spend in the forest. Kausalya was listening. For a moment she could not grasp what he was saying, and like a god who had been pushed to the earth, like a branch of a sala tree felled by an axe, she fell senseless on the ground. Rama went to her, lifted her up tenderly, and placed her on a seat. He sat stroking her with loving hands. She regained consciousness and she looked at Rama. She said, Rama, if only you had not been born to me, I would not have had to suffer this grief. The only pain I was then suffering was the thought that I was a barren woman. I now feel that would have been infinitely better than the state I am now reduced to. You know only too well that I have never been dear to the king. I was confident that you would make up for the loss by your love for me. I am the eldest queen, no doubt, but I have been insulted by the younger queens of the king, and now, after you have gone, indignities will be heaped on me. How can I express the depth of the pain and unhappiness in my mind? Tears will now flow constantly from these eyes, which will be longing to see you. Death will certainly be welcome. All these years I have been slighted by Kaikeyi and her maids, since the king has never treated me well. Even the few loyal friends and companions I have will now avoid me, since Kaikeyi's son will be the king hereafter. Rama, it is 17 years since you were born, and I have been able to bear a great deal of unhappiness as you are here by my side. How can I live without looking at your beautiful face? How can I live in midst of all these painful surroundings? I performed so many vratas and I have worshipped the Lord daily without fail. All my prayers have been for your welfare and they have proved to be fruitless like seeds sown in salty soil. I am the most unfortunate of all beings, and that is why perhaps my prayers have been unanswered. My heart is indeed made of stone, or else it should have broken down like the banks of a river which is suddenly filled with water during the rainy season. Maybe it is made of iron. It does not break, nor do my limbs give way under the great grief which has suddenly beset me. It is because life will not leave the body until the appointed time for death. If it were possible for one to abandon one's life when beset with unbearable grief, then like a cow parted from its calf, I would give up this fruitless life of mine at once. Child, Rama, what is the use of living without you by my side? I will come with you to the forest. I cannot be here without you. Again and again she repeated herself and cried without restraint, and Rama stood by her side, trying to pacify her and wipe her tears. Jai Shri Ram. Om Shri Ramar Pranamast. Chapter 10 of Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda. Lakshmana's anger. Apadamahartaram dhataram sarvasampadam lokabhiramam Shriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. Lakshmana could bear it no longer. He had been standing near Rama, listening to the words of the heartbroken queen. He now intervened and said, Mother, I do not like this at all. I do not see why Rama should give up all this glory because a woman's whim has dictated the terms. Our revered father is now old and senility has set in, no doubt. His mind is not his own and blinded by his love for a woman. The king has forgotten what dharma is as far as the ruling of the kingdom is concerned. He has lost the power to discriminate between the good of the country and the course which will be harmful. A king should remember what is good for his country and what is not, and he should have the acumen to consider these impartially and come to a quick decision. Our king has lost that power. So much so, he has granted this woman everything she has asked for. I do not see any reason for the banishment of Rama from the country and for the command that he should live in the Dandaka. Rama, the sinless one, cannot be condemned to such a punishment without reason. The king is so shameless that he has become an adharmi because of this woman. I am going to kill my father. Even an enemy of Rama, an enemy who has been hurt by Rama's arrow and is dying, even he will not impute any sin to Rama. My brother has never once swerved even by a hair's breadth from the path of dharma. He is firm in his convictions and nothing can move him to do anything wrong. He is like a god, and such a son is being banished for no reason at all. The king, who has lost sight of the difference between dharma and adharma, who is but a slave to his senses, has to be judged rightly. No one is prepared to accept his commands as righteous. Rama, there are three arthas as you know. Treading the right path is named Shuklartha. The path which has a slight admixture of adharma but is by and large right is named Chapalartha, and the path which is entirely unrighteous is Krishnartha. Our king belongs to the second category. Before adharma runs rampant in the country, because of this king, please take up the reins of the kingdom in your hands. Just command me. The kingdom is your birthright, and I will stand by your side, bow in hand. Tell me if there is anyone who has the courage to oppose me. If it is necessary, I will kill every one of the citizens of Ayodhya if they dare to side with the king. If there is even one single individual who sides with Bharata and is his well-wisher, I will destroy him and his clan. Rama, my brother, you are gentle and soft by nature and you are being deceived because of it. If our father, influenced as he is by Kaikeyi, persists in this shameful behavior, he will have to be imprisoned. If he actively supports your enmity, if he actively supports your enemy, he should then be killed without compunction. If a man is so bereft of his senses that he is unable to know the difference between dharma and adharma, if he chooses to be an adharmi and harms others, it is imperative that he should be punished. With what assurance has the king now dared to make a gift of this beautiful land to Kaikeyi? What prompted him to do so? He will not be able to resist the combined power of you and me. No one can have the courage to prefer Bharata to you and try to crown him, least of all the king. There are several powers a king has. The first is Prabhu Shakti. This is the power wielded by a man purely because he is a king and a good and righteous king. There is a second type which is known as Prabhava Shakti. This is the power of the king who is righteous by nature and who is assisted in ruling the kingdom by good and capable ministers. The third is Utsaha Shakti. This is trying to achieve something which is wrong in every way with the assurance born of arrogance. Tell me, Rama, which Shakti, which power has prompted the king to act thus? Mother, I swear by my sacred bow, by the truth which I have tried to follow, by what little punya I have earned by the deeds I have performed, that the only aim in my life is to please my beloved brother. I am his slave, and there is no place for anyone else but him in my heart. I am his devotee, and I will not allow any injustice to be done to my God. If Rama were to enter raging fire, you can be sure that I will also be there, and that even before my brother enters it. I am only waiting for my brother to think it over and command me. I will then wipe away your tears like the rising sun does the darkness of the night. You will see the dead lines of my arrows then. You will see the deadliness of my arrows then. I will kill the king along with Kaikeyi. He is old, has lost his reasoning power, and the only aim in his life seems to be to please Kaikeyi. He has now become the object of scorn as far as the entire world is concerned. Kausalya, who had been drenched in tears and whose heart was heavy with sorrow, listened to the words spoken by Lakshmana, and she said, Rama, you have always heard all that child Lakshmana has been saying. If it is pleasing to you, you might proceed in the manner as per his wish. You shall not go to the forest, leaving me to the mercies of the younger women in the palace. You know what is right and what is not. Remain here and serve me. Am I not as dear to you as your father? Even as you obey your father, you should obey me. And I say that you shall not go to Dandaka, leaving me alone here in Ayodhya. My happiness, nay, my very life is bound up in you, and without you, life will have no meaning. I would prefer to eat grass and remain with you rather than live in this palace full of luxury. If, in spite of my entreaties, you decide to go away from me, I will this very moment remain seated on dharba grass and starve until death overtakes me. You will then be tainted by the sin of Matruhatya, killing your mother, which sin the Lord of the rivers, the sea, had to suffer. Rama was silent all the while. He allowed Lakshmana to give vent to his anger, and he let his mother shed all the tears she had. She could weep no more, so exhausted was she. Rama was greatly distressed to go through all this pain. He could not bear to see anyone suffer without his sharing their pain, and now it was his mother and his brother who were unhappy. He was trying to think up words which would pacify her and at the same time let her be convinced that he was doing the right thing. He spoke in a soft, gentle and persuasive voice. Mother, it is not possible for me to disobey the words which my father has spoken. I have neither the power nor the desire to do so. I prostrate before you, Mother, and assure you that I have made up my mind to go to the forest. You must bless me and send me. I need your blessings. Implicit obedience to one's father has been the law set down by the rishis, and all our ancestors have followed this rule. Think of Parashurama, Mother. His father, the saintly Jamadagni, asked him to kill his mother Renuka, and the son obeyed his father because that is the only dharma to be followed. Please do not think that I am the first person to follow this path of obedience to the father. Many of my predecessors have done the same thing, and I am only following in their footsteps. I have been taught early in my life that the son who obeys his father is sure of a palace, of a place in heaven. The rules of Dharma taught by the great ones cannot be false. I believe in the Shastras and I will obey my father in everything. Rama then turned to Lakshmana and spoke to him. Rama, who was a great archer, was well versed in the art of talking too, and he had to convince Lakshmana that he was uttering words which were wrong. Lakshmana, he said, I know the love you have for me. It is a devotion which is unparalleled in the three worlds. I know your prowess too very well. I am aware of your firmness, your determination to do what you have decided to do, and your valor which is unbearable to the enemy. My mother's grief is intense and it cannot be cured soon. It will last for a very long time. She speaks wild and incoherent words since she is unacquainted with the nuances of Dharma. A man who has his senses under control will take everything as it comes, whether it is good fortune or ill luck, with an equanimity which is the heritage of rishis. Such a man will say, it is the will of heaven that this should happen, and accept anything which befalls him in a calm manner. But mother has not learnt that secret, and so she is suffering thus. But you, my Lakshmana, you are different. Along with me, you have sat at the feet of the Guru, and you too have learned the rules of conduct. In this world, Lakshmana, Dharma is the ultimate goal. It is the observance of Dharma which will grant the other three Purusharthas, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Dharma has been established in truth, and truth is the ultimate religion. A well-read man should not break his word after he has promised to do something. When he is commanded by his father or mother or by his guru, he should keep to his word and not break it. I do not, therefore, wish to disobey what my father and Kaikeyi have asked me to do. Abandon these wrong thoughts, Lakshmana. It is not right. It is not the Dharma you should follow. It will seem as though you are trying to prove to the world that you are a great warrior. Do not give in to these feelings of wrath. It is wrong to be violent. Violence, I repeat, is wrong. You must listen to me and let me go to the forest. I have made up my mind to do so. He turned again to his mother and prostrated before her. Standing up, he said, Mother, permit me to go to the forest. Please recite the mantras which will bring me good fortune, which will keep evil spirits away from me. I will come back soon, Mother, after I have satisfied the conditions of my exile. I assure you that soon, very soon, you and I, with Lakshmana and Sita, will be reunited, and we will live happily with Father as we have done all these years. Abandon this grief and prepare yourself to send me to the forest with your blessings. I am doing only what is right, and you must help me do so. Kausalya saw that her son was firm in his resolve. His mind seemed to be calm and unruffled, and his face indicated it. It took her a while to speak. She said, Rama, you speak of Dharma, and that very Dharma says that a mother is as sacred to a man as his father. Both are your gurus, and I command you not to go. I say that you shall stay by my side and serve me. Without you, Rama, life will lose all meaning. With you by my side, even if it be just an hour, I will be happy. I cannot live without you, Rama. Not all her tears would move Rama to swerve from his firm resolve, nor could Lakshmana's anger influence him. Again he spoke to Lakshmana and said, I am aware of your valor, my Lakshmana, and I know only too well how much you love me. You have known me all these years, and still, instead of trying to understand me, you are adding to my unhappiness. Sorely tired as I am by my mother's tears. Jai Shri Ram. Om Shri Ram Arpanamast. Chapter 11 of Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda. Rama's firmness. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. The piteous words of Kausalya would have made anyone else relent, but not Rama. Like an elephant which walks with unconcern even when torches are lit by men to impede his progress, Rama, with his mind set firmly on the path of Dharma, refused to be moved by the tears of his mother. He was the one person who was capable of talking to his mother, who was almost demented because of excessive grief, and to Lakshmana, whose throat was dry with anger. Rama spoke again. Lakshmana, you know me so well, and I know you too, since we are but two aspects of the same truth. How is it you do not understand my devotion to Dharma? Simple rules of conduct have been set down for man by the elders of yore. Believe in their teachings implicitly. Man should devote himself to Dharma and only to Dharma. One who sets his mind instead on acquiring artha, wealth, becomes an object of the censure of the wise. The third man, who is lost in kama, the other path, is not worthy of praise. If, however, a man follows the path of dharma set down in the Shastras, artha, kama, and moksha will follow as a natural sequel to one's actions. Our father has all these years been famed for his great good qualities, for his righteousness, and for his knowledge of all the Vedas and the Shastras. Such a man commands me to do what is not pleasing to you. I will not seek the reason which prompted him to command me thus. Maybe he is angry with me. Maybe he is unhappy about something, or pleased about something else. It is no matter. I am the last person to question his actions and the motives behind them. I have no right to, nor have you. I only have to obey his commands. He has promised this to Kaikeyi, and it is up to me to help him keep his word. He is the very image of Dharma, and you and I, and my mother too, must listen to his words and act accordingly. Mother, when such a man is alive, how can you say that you will come with me to the forest? Mother, grant me leave to go so that I will be able to fulfill my father's promise. Give me your blessings, and I will come back after the term of my exile is completed. This kingdom and ruling it are not so important that I should sacrifice my good name for it. When compared with each other, the rewards of the one are so inferior and so paltry, while the other leads me straight to the heavens and grants me immortal fame. Mother, you must let me go. Rama tried to convince the two about the rightness of his decision to go to the Dandaka forest. He made pradakshina to his mother. Lakshmana, however, refused to be convinced or comforted. Rama looked at his brother, who was still fuming with anger, whose eyes were red with anger, whose sighs were like the hissing of a king cobra. Lakshmana was so fond of his brother that he could not brook this injustice done to him, and all the words of Rama would not convince him. Rama touched his head with love and said, Lakshmana, forget this wrath. Do not give in to this confusion in your mind. Rise above the level of ordinary men and be tranquil under the circumstances. Try to gain mental equilibrium. Do not think of the coronation and the attendant disappointment to you. Try and be selfless for my sake and follow my words. The same enthusiasm which was in your mind when you knew that I was to be crowned should be in your heart, since I am doing only what is right and what is rewarding to me. See to it that she is pleased, my young mother, who wishes to avert the coronation. She should have no doubt as to my decision to obey her commands. She must be assured that her wishes will come true. I have never displeased any of my mothers or my father, and I do not propose to do so now. My father, the king, has never spoken an untruth, and this incident should not prevent him from gaining a place in heaven. If his word is not kept, that will hurt me more than anything else. I will not be able to bear it. I have made up my mind to go to the forest in a happy frame of mind after abandoning all thoughts of the coronation. Kekaya's daughters Kekaya's daughter can now crown her son Bharata without any obstacle in her path. She will be happy only when she sees me leave for the forest, dressed in tree bark and deer skin. I am in a hurry to leave and make my father sinless. Rama was lost in thought for a while. He then shrugged his shoulders and said, Lakshmana, when I think of the decision of the king yesterday to crown me and the happenings of today, I cannot help thinking that fate is responsible for our fortunes. It is fate which makes us reap the fruits of our actions in our previous births. It must be because of something which I did in my previous birth which caused this reverse in my fortunes. Or else, how could Kaikeyi have thought of giving me pain? Nothing else but fate can explain this behavior of the queen. Lakshmana, you know how all my mothers are dear to me and how much I love all of them. As for Kaikeyi, she has never once made any difference between me and Bharata. Today her words were so cruel and wounding. I could not believe that it was she who spoke those words. This sudden change in my fortunes is the act of fate. I am convinced of it. Kaikeyi, who has always been so well behaved, who has always behaved like a princess, who has always been well known for her gentleness and her sweet nature, that Kaikeyi was so different. Lakshmana, she behaved like an ordinary illiterate woman who has never known what decorum is. In the presence of her lord, she spoke thus. This is what is known as the will of providence. Some happenings in the life of man cannot be explained away, and the course of some things can never be altered by anyone, however much he may try. This act of providence has been proved fully in the case of Kaikeyi and me. Man is not able to defy fate, whose acts are such that man cannot satisfy himself about the happenings having any justification. He is robbed of his peace of mind and he is helpless against fate. It is not possible to gauge the reason for one's being granted happiness, sorrow, disease, gain or loss, birth or death. Everything follows a pattern, no doubt, but we cannot understand it. This is fate. Even the rishis who have their senses under control are not exempt from the sway of fate. They are made to forget their daily rituals. They become slaves of the passions like Kama and Krodha, and they lose all that they have gained so far. Anything which has been begun in good faith does, at times, get obstructed in its course and takes an unexpected turn, and that is the work of fate. This is what has happened to us now since yesterday. But then, I am not affected by this change in my fortunes. And so, You must also adopt the same way of thinking. With these very waters which have been placed for my coronation, I will have the sacred bath preparing me for the holy task of dwelling in the forest. On second thoughts, why should I have anything to do with any of these royal insignia? How can the waters meant for the purpose of coronation serve my purpose which is so different? Let me use some other water which is meant for my banishment. As for you, do not let the fickleness of the goddess Lakshmi affect you, my dear brother. Actually, I prefer to roam in the forest without a care in the world. Ruling a kingdom is beset by hundreds of worries. Lakshmana was listening with his head bent down and his eyes fixed on the ground. He was still angry. His brows were knit and he sighed like a serpent, and his face was fierce to look at. He said, I do not agree with you. How can you ascribe to fate an action prompted by the avarice of a woman? Her desire is so great that she has made even the king agree to it. And do you not see any injustice in this? You just say it is providence. There are people who pretend to be righteous but are at heart wicked. By their cleverness and by their deceitful tactics, they have conspired to make you suffer this banishment, and you refuse to see it? I am sure of it. Or else, why had the granting of these two famed boons been delayed all these years? It should have been done years ago. This is just a pretext. Here is an obvious intrigue to get rid of you, and you insist on conforming to it by your decision to obey the king, your father. I am still of the opinion that you should occupy the throne against the wishes of Kaikeyi. The king is a slave to his passions, and his action is against all rules of Dharma. He has no right to crown Bharata when you are here. The world will laugh at him. Only a weakling or a man lacking in valor will accept everything that comes his way with meekness and ascribe his misfortunes to fate. A hero, on the other hand, will certainly find ways and means of overcoming the difficulties which obstruct his progress. You behave as though you are helpless against fate. Let the world see how prowess can vanquish fate. Let the coronation take place, and with your permission, I will prove to you that the might of my arms is more powerful than fate. No one, except our father, will object to your coronation. Not even the gods who guard the right who guard the 8 quarters. The king and his young wife have conspired against you, and they are the ones to be exiled to the Dandaka forest. Let me stand by your side and see that the coronation takes place. I assure you I can make it happen. These arms of mine, my brother, are not just for being smeared with sandal paste and for being an adornment to my body. Nor is this bow an ornament I am wearing. This sword of mine is not a decoration. These arrows are not meant to support me when I am walking. They are meant for destroying enemies, and I mean to use them properly. Indra himself cannot withstand my valor when I am angry. Wait and see how best I will achieve my purpose of crowning you as the Yuvaraja of the kingdom of Kosala. Rama was standing with a sad and weary expression on his face. Distressed as he was by the many things which had happened since sunrise, he felt this to be the most trying of them all, making Lakshmana understand that he had no intention of accepting the throne even if it were offered to him now. He wiped the tears of Lakshmana and spoke words of wisdom to comfort him. He then said, Let me tell you once and for all, Lakshmana, I have made up my mind to obey my father, since, to me, it is the ultimate dharma. I will not change my mind. I am firm in my decision, and please do not give way to this anger. It is of no avail. I will not permit you to fight for the throne on my behalf, nor will I allow you to talk ill of the king. Try and accept the truth. I have to go, and I will go. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Ramarpanamastu. Chapter 12 of Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda. A mother's blessings. Apadamahartaram dhataram sarvasampadam lokaviramam Shriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. Kausalya realized that Rama had made up his mind long ago and that he would not listen to her pleadings. Sobs were stopping her from talking clearly, and she said, "My child, I cannot think of the son of the Emperor Dasharatha living in the forest like a mendicant. He will, from now, live on fruits and roots gathered in the forest. Will anyone believe it when they hear that Dasharatha has banished Rama to the forest? Rama, who was till now his very life. As you say, fate is the most powerful of all since it has made you, the beloved of all, live in the forest. I will not be able to bear this separation from you. It will burn me like a forest fire will, a forest full of dry trees. Take me with you. I will follow you wherever you go." Rama looked at his mother, whose face was bathed in tears, and said, "Mother, my father has been deceived by Kaikeyi. When I have gone to the forest, he will go through a great suffering. It will take him a long time to get over this separation from me. If you too abandon him and come with me, he will not be able to live. Mother, I do not have to tell you about the dharma of a pativrata. So long as my father is alive, it is your duty to stay by his side and serve him. That is your dharma." With a great effort of will, Kausalya controlled herself and in a firm voice said, "Rama, you are right. I will do what you have asked me to do. I will stay by the side of the king who will be very unhappy." Rama continued, "Mother, these 9 years and 5 more will pass very soon and I will come back. Actually, when I think of it, living in the forest will be, to me, like a game to play. Console yourself with the thought that I will come back to you soon, very soon." There were now tears gathering in the eyes of Rama when he said, "Mother, if you should come with me, the king will be left alone. It is not right. A woman's place is beside her lord and master. You should not abandon the king in his hour of need. Also, let me assure you of one thing. Bharata is a righteous man and a very noble youth. He will walk only in the path of Dharma. He will take good care of you and please you in every way. I am certain of that. After I have gone away, my father will suffer agonies because of his separation from me. You should comfort him and make him bear the extreme grief which he is going to suffer. At this age, to suffer grief will be unbearable for my father, and you should be the one to share it with him and try to lessen it. Mother, pursue your daily worship of the Lord and pray for my well-being. Wait for me to come back and take good care of my father." Kausalya said, "Since fate has conspired against me, I am not able to change your mind. May you be blessed all the way. You can go. I will grant you permission. May you be attended by good fortune and nothing else all the way. I will wait for you to come back. You will clear the debt you owe to your father. Having followed the dictates of Dharma, you will come back to me and make me happy. If it were not for fate, you would never have disobeyed me. Go, my child, and come back well and happy. I will hear your dear voice and forget all the pain of the years I have to spend without you. Rama, do not tarry. Prepare yourself for the journey. May that dharma protect you which you have been following so assiduously with a firm mind and with a religious dedication. The gods whom you have been worshipping will protect you in the forest. May the astras given to you by the noble Vishwamitra protect you. May the Samit, Kusa and the many things in the forest protect you. Vishwa Devas, Maruts, Dhata and Vidhata, Pushan, Bhaga are all invoked by me to give you their grace. May the guardians of the quarters led by Indra lend their protection to you. May your path be blessed and may your valor be ever successful. Kausalya fed the fire with havis and ghee and butter, and she prayed for the welfare of her son. She said, when the Lord of the heavens, Indra, went out to fight with Vritra, he was blessed by all. May such blessings attend you too. When Garuda went to the heavens to bring Amrita, his mother Vinata blessed him to be successful in his mission. May that blessing go with you. When there was war between the Devas and Asuras, Aditi gave her blessings to her son Indra. May that blessings go with you, my son, when you go to the forest. I bless you as Vamana was blessed when he went to the Yajna of Bali to beg for the three worlds. May the forest and all that is in the forest do nothing but good to you, my child. Her sorrow had been controlled by her prayers, and with a calm face, Kausalya placed the tilaka on Rama's forehead and tied the raksha on his wrist. She embraced him warmly and said, go, my child, and come back to me. May you be without any illness. I will wait for the day when you will walk again in the streets of Ayodhya. After these 14 years, I will see you seated on the throne of the Ikshvakus. I am certain of that. My prayers will not remain unanswered, and I will have you back with me. With tears flowing from her eyes, Kausalya completed the ritual of Swasthi and embraced Rama again and again. Rama prostrated before her and held on to her feet. Again and again he took the dust of her feet, and without looking back, he left his mother's presence. Matradhevo Bhava. Jai Shri Ram. Om Shri Ramarpanamastu.